304 Saint Agnes, Christian virgin martyr, beheaded in Rome during persecutions by the Emperor Diocletian at 12 or 13. 879 Boudouin with the Iron Arm, Earl of Flanders, dies. 917 Erchanger, Duke of Swabia c. 880. In 1059 Michael I Cerularius, Patriarch of Constantinople 1043-59, whose excommunication by Rome caused the Great Schism, dies BC. 1000. In 1118 Pope Paschal II, born Raniero 1099-1118, dies. In 1344 Prince Narinaga, second and last Japanese shōgun of the Kenmu Restoration 1335-7, dies at about 18 B circa 1326, death date disputed. In 1519 Vasco N. Esther Balboa, Spanish explorer, executed on charges of treason at about 42, birth date undocumented, born c. 1475, exact death date uncertain, may have been as early as 15 January. In 1527 Juan de Grijalver, Spanish conquistador c. 1489. In 1546 Asaisuke, Japanese samurai and warlord b. 1491. In 1596 John Ligarius, German theologist, prime minister, dies at 66. In 1609 Joseph Justus Scaliger, French inventor of Julian period, dies at 68. In 1626 John Dowland, English composer, In Darkness We Dwell, dies at 62. In 1638 Ignazio Donati, Italian composer c. 1570. In 1665 Domenico Mazzocchi, Italian Baroque composer, dies at 72. In 1670 Honorat de Breuil Seigneur de Racan, French aristocrat, playwright and poet, dies at 80. In 1683 Anthony Ashley Cooper, 1st Earl of Shaftesbury, English statesman who tried to bar Catholic James Roman II from throne, Lord Chancellor 1672-73, dies at 61. In 1686 Nicolas Franois Blondel, French architect, dies. In 1699 Obadiah Walker, English writer, academic, and Master of University College, Oxford 1676-88, dies at about 82 B. 1616. In 1704 Willem Basjeen Steppers, Dutch merchant and admiral, dies at about 83. In 1706 Adrien Baylet, French scholar and critic, dies at 56. In 1710 Johann Georg Ditschel, German mystic and religious leader, dies at 71. In 1722 Charles Paulet, 2nd Duke of Bolton, English supporter of William Roman III of England b. 1661. In 1731 Thomas Woolston, English theologian b. 1669. In 1746 Gottfried Kirchhoff, German organist and composer, chiefly of sacred music, dies at 60. In 1766 James Quinn, British actor, Covent Garden Theatre, dies at 72. In 1773 Alexis Pine, French dramatist, La Entromanie, dies at 83. In 1774 Mustafa Roman III, Ottoman Sultan 1757-74, dies of a heart attack at 56. King of France 1774-93, beheaded during the French Revolution at 38. In 1795 Samuel Wallis, English explorer, Wallis Island, dies at 66. In 1809 Josiah Hornblower, American statesman, New Jersey delegate to the Continental Congress, dies at 79. In 1814 Jacques-Henri Bernardin de Saint-Pierre, French writer and botanist, Paul et Virginie, dies at 77. In 1815 Matthias Claudius, German poet, Death and the Maiden, and journalist, Dear Once Per Boat, dies at 74. In 1823 Caetano Jos Rodriguez, Argentine cleric, journalist and poet b. 1761. In 1831 Jim von Arnim Ludwig Joachim von Arnim, German romantic poet and writer, Des Neben Wonder When You, dies at 49. In 1836 Maria Christina of Savoy, Queen of the Two Sicilies and saint, dies in childbirth at 23. 1851 Gustav Albert Lotzing, German Spielopera composer and actor Tsar Zimmermann, dies at 49. In 1859 Henry Hallam, British lawyer and historian who wrote on European history, dies at 81. In 1870 Alexander Herzen, Russian writer and political thinker, known as the father of Russian socialism, My Past and Thoughts, The Bell, dies of tuberculosis at 57. In 1871 Jan Jacob Rochussen, Dutch Governor-General of Dutch East Indies 1845-51, dies at 73. In 1872 Franz Grillparzer, Austrian playwright Sappho Liebesser, dies at 81. In 1872 Thomas Bragg, American politician, 34th Governor of North Carolina 1859-61, dies at 61. In 1879 John Blair Scribner, American magazine and book publisher, dies of pneumonia at 28. In 1881 Wilhelm Matthias Neef, Swiss federal councillor, co-drafted 1848 Constitution, dies at 78. In 1882 Anton Emil Titel, Austrian composer, dies at 72. In 1883 Jacopo Tommadini, Italian composer, dies at 62. In 1884 Auguste Francham, French cellist and composer, dies at 75. In 1888 Stephen Hale Alonzo Mash, British-born composer who worked in Australia's first opera, dies at 83. In 1891 Calixer Lavalley, Canadian composer O Canada, dies at 48. In 1892 John Couch Adams, English astronomer co-discovered Neptune, dies at 72. In 1894 Guillaume Lequy, Belgian composer Pithalame, dies of typhoid fever at 24. In 1895 Michael Corrette, French organist Church of Saint Marie du Temple Paris, 1737-91, composer and educator, dies at 87. In 1901 Alicia Gray, American inventor telephone prototype, dies at 65. In 1903 Hermanus Schiepman the doctor, Dutch poet, Roman Catholic priest, theologian, and politician, dies at 58. In 1914 Theodor Kittelsen, Norwegian artist b. 1857. In 1919 Gojong, Emperor Gwangmu of Korea 1897-1907, dies at 66. In 1927 Floris H. Verster, Dutch painter cartoonist etcher, dies at 65. In 1928 George Washington Goethals, American Army general and civil engineer who supervised the construction of the Panama Canal, dies at 69. In 1931 Felix Blumenfeld, Russian composer, pianist, and conductor Imperial Mariinsky Theatre, 1885-1911, dies at 67. In 1932 Lytton Strachey, English biographer and critic Benson Medal 1923, dies at 51. In 1933 George Moore, Irish novelist and painter Esther Waters, dies at 80. In 1937 Marie Prevost, Canadian actress b. 1898. In 1938 George M. Lies, French early filmmaker Trip to the Moon, dies at 76. In 1942 Henryk Opieski, Polish violinist, conductor, choral director, composer Zygmunt August and Barbara, and musicologist Monia Sko, dies at 72. In 1943 Ottokar Sini, composer, dies at 61. In 1944 Gustav Schaemhout, Flemish physician and writer, dies at 74.